Braveheart, released in 1995, captivated audiences with its epic tale of William Wallace, a Scottish hero who led a rebellion against English oppression. But just how accurate is this beloved film? Today, we're diving deep into the history behind Braveheart to find out where Hollywood took creative liberties and what it got right. The real William Wallace was indeed a significant figure in Scottish history, remembered for his role in the wars of Scottish independence during the late 13th century. However, much of what we know about him comes from chronicles written years after his death, which were often exaggerated or romanticized. While Braveheart portrays Wallace as a commoner who rises to become a national hero, the reality is more complex. Historians believe Wallace may have come from a lesser noble family, not quite the humble farmer depicted in the film. This change was likely made to make Wallace more relatable to audiences, transforming him into an underdog hero fighting against tyranny. One of the most iconic visuals in Braveheart is the sight of Wallace and his men wearing kilts while charging into battle. However, historians are quick to point out that this is one of the film's biggest inaccuracies. The kilt, as we know it today, didn't become a part of Scottish culture until the 16th century, over 200 years after Wallace's time. So why did the filmmakers choose kilts? The answer likely lies in symbolism. For audiences, the kilt represents Scottish identity and freedom. By dressing Wallace and his men in kilts, the film emphasizes their fierce independence, even if it's not historically accurate. A major subplot in Braveheart involves a romantic affair between William Wallace and Princess Isabella of France. While this certainly adds drama and emotional weight to the story, historians agree it's pure fiction. In reality, Isabella would have been around 10 years old during Wallace's rebellion. She didn't marry Edward II until several years after Wallace's death. This part of the story was likely invented to create a more compelling narrative and to emphasize Wallace's defiance against the English crown. It's a classic case of Hollywood prioritizing drama over historical accuracy. One of the most thrilling sequences in Braveheart is the Battle of Stirling, where Wallace leads the Scots to victory against a much larger English force. However, if you're wondering why the film is missing an actual bridge during the Battle of Stirling Bridge, well, that's because it's another instance of historical liberties. In reality, the narrow bridge was a key factor in Wallace's victory, as it forced the English to cross in small numbers, making them vulnerable. By omitting the bridge, the filmmakers were able to stage a more visually dramatic, large-scale battle sequence. It makes for great cinema, but it's a far cry from what actually happened. The film's depiction of Wallace's execution is shockingly brutal, but it's also one of the few parts of Braveheart that stays close to historical records. After being captured, Wallace was indeed tried for treason and sentenced to one of the most gruesome executions imaginable. He was hanged, drawn, and quartered. The film's portrayal of Wallace refusing to submit, even at the end, aligns with accounts of his defiance in the face of death. However, the famous cry of freedom just before his death is likely an invention of the filmmakers. Wallace's final words were not recorded, and it's unlikely he had the strength to utter any words at that moment. But from a storytelling perspective, it's a powerful way to emphasize the spirit of resistance that Wallace symbolized for Scotland. Despite its historical inaccuracies, Braveheart remains a beloved film, celebrated for its epic battles, stirring music, and unforgettable performances. So, why does it still hold a special place in our hearts? The answer lies in its emotional impact. Braveheart isn't a documentary, it's a story about the fight for freedom, courage, and the cost of standing up for what you believe in. For many, it's not the historical details that matter, but the film's ability to inspire and capture the imagination. By focusing on the universal themes of liberty and sacrifice, Braveheart connects with audiences on a deeper level, even if it doesn't always stick to the facts. Closing thoughts. How much does historical accuracy matter? At the end of the day, Braveheart is a work of fiction inspired by real events. It's not meant to be a perfect retelling of history, but rather a powerful story that resonates with viewers. While it's important to recognize where the film took liberties, it's just as crucial to appreciate it for what it is, a celebration of the spirit of resistance and the enduring fight for freedom.